All right, welcome to a live edition of the BHB Ministries YouTube Ustream channel. I am Minister G.L. Harden, and hope you all are having a wonderful spring. It's been some pretty good weather um, throughout the country, and we just want to wish everybody a wonderful day and a blissful life. I want to come on tonight because I'm going to be talking in a minute about a survey I saw earlier that talked about going to church can help you live longer. And it was a survey done, I believe, by Yale, Harvard, and a few other universities. I think Berkeley College as well. They did this survey that talked about that. But I also want to talk about the plight of the church in itself. Whereas even in LA, in South Central, in that area, there are a lot of churches that are declining, and in place of those churches are laundromats. So I want to be talking about those two issues in just a moment. But I want to really send a prayer out to all the people who have lost a loved one, Amy Joyner, and there was some other people in the media, families that have lost a loved one, and what I've been seeing lately, because I think it was recently a young girl, I think she was around 13 years old, was recently stabbed to death. I mean, you know, this thing is really getting out of hand, dealing with our youth, especially with school and peer pressure. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, we've always had fights at school. You know, I meet you at 3 o'clock and all those types of things. So we've always had fights and bullying going on since the age of time. But yet, social media has really made it more enlightened, so to speak. You can't blame it all on social media because, like I said, it's been going on forever. But now these young kids are taking to social media immediately on Twitter and Facebook and all that, Instagram, and posting lies, and they're putting photos of naked people having sex together and all kind of splicing and things that they're doing that is not just physical, but now it's more mental. And you see so many young kids that are being bullying, committing suicide as early as age 6 years old, because they're being 8 years old, 10 years old, which I don't know why a child that young would have a Facebook page or anything dealing with social media. But yet, nevertheless, they find themselves being targeted and bullied. They call it cyberbullying all across. So I really want to send a special prayer out to all our youth of today, but particularly these parents, man, because these parents are missing their mark. They're so caught up in these jobs and trying to get a raise or promoted or more hours or whatever the case may be, that they're neglecting their youth, our youth, their babies, our babies, because it does take a village. And now you're seeing more and more murders in high schools. The week before, Amy Joyner, who died in, I think it was Delaware, there was a young lady in New York that her brother was being bullied or taunted by a group of people. And when she came to the rescue, I think she was 17 years old, and when she came to defend her brother, 4 girls jumped her. Had her in a coma for a couple of weeks until they pulled the plug on her. When and where did our kids get the notion that a life has no worth? I know we got white supremacy and all those things, but in a black home, in a God-centered home, you got to tell me this one. When did that child learn that another person's life has no meaning? And people are always quick to judge the music, which it has something to do with it, you know, videos and all these reality shows. But one thing I did, and I can say this, I wasn't a perfect parent. I made sure my daughter knew everything she saw was a lie. Everything she was fed in school was a lie. So that she would be and grow to be mature enough, spiritually mature enough to seek knowledge and to find it. And I helped her along the way. But she understood the dynamics of a reality show or bad, what is it, bad clubs, girls, or whatever, bad girls club, and all that foolishness for money and hustle. All these scenes are being staged, and young people at 13 and 14 really believe that these cameras are already there before the fight starts. You got to talk to your children, parents, and feed them the truth, and stop allowing all of this foolishness that they're hearing and seeing dilute their minds. You are the parent, and they are the gifts that God gave you. So I urge you to spend more time with your children. Introduce them to new books, new readings, new teachings. Not just the Bible. There are many books God has given us beyond the Bible. And black folk especially. I just read the Bible. You're a fool. You can't put God in a book and say, this is the book. This is it. When God has given us all types of books and readings and Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. John Henry Clark, the ISIS Papers by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Neely Fuller. All these wonderful people, Dr. Ben, who have given their life anti-Sharia. I can go on and on. Men that have given their lives, and women. Marimba Ani, Dr. Marimba Ani, to open the minds and the spirit of a people of God. And here you are, don't know not one of them. One thing I did, I asked God constantly to allow me to grow spiritually higher and higher, and not be boxed in inside of a religion, because God didn't give us religion, man did. And religion has been something that was meant to control the people. Let's be honest. I'm not saying nothing wrong with it, but when you allow it to control you spiritually, mentally, socially, and economically, then you have lost. Jesus what no, he didn't confine to, oh, well, that's the law. Well, okay, then let's just, well, it is what it is. Jesus was a rebel. He threw the table in the synagogue, told Peter to get behind him. He was a rebel. He challenged the Pharisees all the time. He didn't sit there and go, well, that's the rule. We gotta do. No. He did whatever his father told him to do. And sometimes that means cutting against the grain. That's why he told you to pick up your cross. And here you are living under the rule of man and no longer the rule of God. You lost your mind. You lost your ever-loving mind. And it's no wonder these children are no longer want to attend church and no longer are people coming to church, especially the men. Many men of color feel that the church has nothing to offer them. And shout out to every church out there who's Greater Piney Grove, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, do a wonderful job having all types of different issues and great dialogue dealing with men. And they do it on the weekends where, okay, you don't want to go to church, that's fine. Why don't you get up Saturday morning, have lunch with us, have breakfast with us, and let's talk about social issues or all the things you want to talk about, dealing with family and single parenting or dealing with child support, any issue. This church sets up a program and invite men in the community and throughout the community to come out and talk, man. Okay, fine. You don't want to go to church? Okay. Come on out here and talk. I mean, openly. I'm not talking worrying about, okay, well, I'm in the church, I can't say it. No. Say what's on your mind. They have wonderful counselors and psychologists, doctors, who are right there to help you and help you cope with anything you're going through, even mental illnesses. Many churches are doing that. And folks are missing the mark. And I do believe that churches may have to market that more. They may have, they offer it to members. But you got to put a billboard up and say, hey, man, every Saturday, every third Saturday, we do a men's talk. Come on out and let's talk. Let's talk about the things that bother you, even if it is the church. Open dialogue. No criticism. Nobody cutting you off and all that and getting mad about your opinion. People are allowing you to be you. And we're going to need more of this in urban communities soon, and very soon. In a minute, I'm going to play this wonderful video by this brother. He's a wonderful pastor, youth pastor. He goes around touring worldwide and talking with our youth throughout the community. And one of the wonderful things that he does is he listens. He listens to the youth who are being really persuaded not to attend church for one reason or another. But he gives you a wonderful outline, and these are some things that I've been saying while a lot of young folk don't want to come to church anymore too as well. But he does a wonderful outline of that, demonstrating why we're losing generations in the church. And I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in right now before I go to this first topic, is the fact that the church is too busy trying to be commercial. When young folks are coming to God and needing God, they don't want no Snoop Dogg and no twerking. You're not gonna get them that way. They're coming with an open heart, open mind and spirit, and saying, God, I need you. And what do grown folks do? They think they gotta act like you look foolish, trying to be trendy on hoverboards. Pastors riding around on Hoover, got the praise team on hoverboards, all this foolishness. Instead of just holding them and waiting for them to talk, to listen to them. Don't be laying no hands on nobody. until you find out what's going on with them. And don't be trying to put that spook spirit on them as if because I'm an elder, I'm deacon so and so. That's going to kill everything. No, they're coming. They're coming not for you. They're coming to lay it at the altar. And as elders or older folk, you got to let them lay it at the altar, but be there to guide them. Not to always tell them, but to guide them and give them all the love and support that they need, and guiding them in the right direction. Might be some therapy. I know a lot of black churches don't believe in therapy, but God gave it to you for a reason. We got them for a reason. You better use them. You better use them. So I was reading this article dealing with black churches declining, and they called it a mystery, and they were talking about it virtually coming out of L.A. But I can tell you for sure that I did a few shows on this a little over a year ago, and a multitude, really after 2008 debacle, a multitude of churches have been declining and losing their buildings to the banks, and one way or another. But many have said that because many people are no longer attending churches. And again, I'm gonna leave my 2 cents in there. And my thing is, I remember when in 2007, 2008, 2009, all that was going on, and I was a member in one of the ministers at a mega church. And anytime you go through calamity, churches get full fast. Black folk run to God real quick and run to that church real quick. Most of the time they run for help. And there lies the problem. You got folks who don't have employment, but are seeking financial gain. And the church is not equipped to finance the whole community. I know they take in a lot of money, but it takes a lot of money also to run a church, and you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. The AC bill can run you about $40,000 a month. Water bill, I mean, every 2 months, maybe 8,000, and it goes on and on and on throughout the out that ministry. And one of the things that we have to begin to do, beginning with the church, is we have to begin to create jobs and create new revenue, new income throughout urban communities, black communities. That's why you had so many black communities back in the 20s and 30s, even during the Depression. I remember Black Wall Street was going on in the early 1900s, and of course we know that what happened in Tulsa, and I think it's June 1st, 1921. When the U.S. United States government attacked the city that was thriving. They called it Little Africa, but they called it Black Wall Street as well. But it was one of the most thriving communities out, and people real quick. The reason why, because the church was the cornerstone of the community, and through the church, everybody had employment. Hell, they had their own airlines in 1921. Their own bus company in 1921. Do you hear me? Here they are, owning everything. Black banks, groceries, shoe store, clothing store, beauty salon. You know we got that. You already had C.J. Madam Walker with the beauty supply, and here it is now, some 80-some years later. Now the Asians got it, and I think it's a $500 billion industry, and the Asians control it, and we're just the consumer. But nevertheless, everything was funneled through each other, because that's how God created us to be. We are to be connecting from one person to another. None of this isolation stuff that everybody's doing now. All this capitalist stuff that the world has taught you and trained you. People were networking with each other. Hardware stores. Huh? Pharmacy. Doctor, dental. They had everything you can think of in that community, and they had income because they used each other. When the doctor got off work, he went to the grocery store. Grocery store wasn't feeling well, he went to the doctor. The lawyer couldn't see, he went to an optometrist to get some glasses. Oh, time to go to church. Folk went to go buy shoes at a shoe store. It went on. It went on and on and on. But that's how that black dollar stayed in that community. See, there was a time when our dollar bounced around 100 times, and I say 100 times because it never went out of the community. It stayed in the community. They had movie theater, everything you can think of. They had it in the 20s, the 40s. They had it, and they were thriving. And then, of course, civil rights came about, and we wanted to sleep with the enemy. And fast forward now, you got the LGBT, you got the Asian community, you got the Latino community. Everybody has taken the civil rights bill that was meant for people of color and used it for their own benefit. And now people look at the church as just a cash cow and nothing less. So no longer are people attending church. Black men feel that the church can't do anything for them, and that the preacher's a pimp. I'm being honest with you. This is what they're saying. So black men, for the most part, don't attend churches. Most churches have between 30 and 45% male attendance. Most churches. And the majority, of course, being women, single women. And that's why I started off earlier talking about the church has to really come out, man, and do a lot more in those communities to get these young brothers and these young men get their attention and get them involved in those communities. Because these black women are having to wear two hats. A hard hat and a mom's hat. While the men are sitting back, idle, doing nothing. Because I believe if you're a man, you're going to do something. Even if you don't attend church, it's no excuse. You got to do something. And while we're along that line, this article, it came out of the Huffington Post, Black Huffington Post. It was talking about how the Latino communities are slightly taking over these other urban communities, and that's no excuse, because you should have a church, a ministry, and I don't know why we haven't had this yet. Well, you have a Latino pastor and an African American pastor. Can you imagine the beautiful music that'll come out of that church? Because if I can get one, I'm gonna set me one up. Can you imagine the love